Hello there. Welcome to the pod. With summer right around the corner, I thought that it would be fitting to chat about how to enjoy your vacation time without piling on the pounds and becoming a much heavier, puffier, and more swollen version of yourself, because we have all been there. Now, if you choose to vacation in free-for-all mode, by all means, get it. But this episode is not that. We are going to be covering how I approach vacations with my fat loss clients within a lifestyle context, because vacations are a part of life. And so I have a framework that I use with my clientele that we have had a ton of success with. And so I'm going to share it with you too. There are two key questions that I ask my clients before they go on their getaway, and they are as follows. The first one is, how do you want to feel the first morning that you wake up after arriving back home? This includes physical sense of well-being as well as mental and emotional, and it also incorporates overall vacation satisfaction. The second question is, what do you want your scale weight to be the first morning that you wake up in your own bed post-vacay? So, as an example, I'm going to use a client of mine that just flew over to Europe. She started off by mentioning that she is really proud of what she has accomplished so far, which makes complete sense because she's gone from 181 pounds to 153 pounds in 13 weeks. So she's dropped 28 pounds in just over 3 months. She's absolutely crushing it. So dovetailing off of that, she said that she doesn't want to feel like the habits that she's built over the last 3 months completely fell by the wayside on her trip, meaning she wants to maintain them for the most part. And she also wants to feel like she embraced the opportunity to feel, be, and experience the places that she'd never been before. And part of experiencing, for 99% of folks, is eating local cuisine, right? For the second question, she mentioned that it would be awesome if she got leaner on her getaway. However, she wasn't sure just how realistic that was, and so she's given herself about 2 pounds of leeway. So she's sitting right around 153, and she's perfectly okay coming back around 155. Having said that, she also mentioned that if she happens to come back above 155, it's okay, because she's totally willing to buckle down a little bit post-trip and gain that ground back. Which, if that happens, I know that she will, because she's really embraced the program and the whole lifestyle approach, meaning I am not worried about her in the slightest. Now, when you're figuring out your answers to these two questions, I would recommend approaching them from a place of enjoying your vacation fully. However, also not coming home feeling like you need a vacation from your vacation because you gave absolutely no fucks on the food or booze front. So there's a balance to be had between embracing your vacay, yet not completely going off the rails and just hanging your post-getaway self out to dry, right? So you don't want to be so consumed with thoughts of, oh my God, I can't try that local food because I might gain weight, to a point where it hinders your vacation satisfaction. But you also don't want to flip the coin either and go into fuck it mode. There is a happy medium to be had, and the only person that can truly establish that happy medium is you, because enjoying your vacation is entirely subjective, right? What enjoyment means to you might be very different than what enjoyment means to me. And so it's worth putting a little bit of thought into how you want your getaway to look as a whole so you can get the most out of it. Now, once we have the answers to the two questions above, all that we have to do is work backwards. It's so simple because all of your decisions can now be quote unquote filtered through how you want to feel via your definition of enjoyment and what you want to weigh when you return. It is that easy. What I used to do back in the day when I was in vacation mode was I would drink my face off and eat the world. And it was super fun, right up until it wasn't, which was typically a day or two before I was heading home and reality would set in. I'd be gearing up to return and all of my decisions would just slap me in the face. I'd feel physically unwell, heavy, tired, lethargic, but that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was how I would feel mentally and emotionally. I'd feel somewhat anxious and down, which makes perfect sense because booze and a whole bunch of funky food will do that to you, whether it's a vacation, a staycation, or just a standard weekend. But fortunately, I have since altered my approach. Now let's get a little bit more specific. The following structure in terms of food and booze is what tends to work fairly well for most people in a vacation context. So typically going protein, fruit, and veggie heavy for breakfast and lunch, and then having whatever you feel like having for dinner works really well because dinner is typically out and about. It's more of a group experience. You're probably wanting to try some new restaurants, and it's just more rare that you go out for breakfast and or lunch versus for dinner. If you do decide to go out for breakfast or lunch a few times and have those meals be more calorie dense, you can always just tighten up dinner a little bit on those days. No harm, no foul, same outcome. On the other hand, having all 3 meals per day be essentially treat meals is a recipe to pile on weight and feel like shit because, man, it is just so easy, especially when you're eating out, to consume an outrageous amount of calories. In terms of alcohol, this is really going to vary depending on you as an individual, your priorities, and what your definition of enjoyment is. But as a general rule, the earlier that you drink, relatively speaking, the better you're going to feel because the further that you can keep alcohol consumption from sleep, the better quality rest that you're going to get. Meaning, favoring happy hour over a nightcap is a much better way to go in terms of minimizing hangovers the following day. Movement-wise, this often just tends to sort itself out if you like to explore, because exploring a new city typically results in some solid looking step counts, which makes you feel good, of course, but it also does a good job of quote unquote buffering some of those extra calories that you're going to be consuming. Walking is also just awesome as far as stumbling across things in a new city that you'd certainly miss if you were to take a taxi or an Uber. Also, using public transit is a great way to get some extra steps in. And it's also just cool to see how transit works in different countries. For example, in Europe, I remember being in Spain and the metro in Madrid is unbelievable. It's so efficient and well run, and it's just a cool little experience to have. Personally, I very often take public transit because I find it's a great way to soak up some of the culture and be somewhat immersed with locals because the folks that are on public transit usually live in that place. In terms of formal workouts, hey, feel free if you'd like to, but it might be nice to just take a little break from the gym for a week or so. Now, if you are going on an all-inclusive type of trip, the one sneaky mindset mistake that folks tend to fall into is feeling like they need to quote unquote get their money's worth. Because there's a psychological component to things like all you can eat, all you can drink, and buffet style setups that have folks over-consume food and booze just because they want to feel as though the investment that they've made was worth it. So I'd recommend doing your best to put that mindset aside because you've already made the investment. And so it doesn't mean that you're getting any more out of your experience by overdoing meals and alcohol. So before your next getaway, just take 5 minutes to think about or even write down how you'd like your trip to look as a whole, as well as how you'd like to feel the first morning that you wake up after returning back home. Then simply work backwards and you cannot go wrong. And if you happen to fall off track to some degree and you come back a little heavier than you set out to, it's okay. Don't sweat it too much, because chances are that if you hadn't thought about it at all and went into your vacation on autopilot, you almost certainly would have come back in even worse shape and with more ground to make up. A little bit of awareness and forethought can go a long way. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. On Instagram, I'm at N1Fitness. TikTok, I'm at the N1Fitness. And on YouTube, I'm at Marcus Sadu. Feel free to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform if you'd like to, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy your vacay, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.